Good morning. Good morning. It was one of those mornings. My name is Lisa Dublin, and you want to stay around today because we're going to talk about letting go of fear. And I'm going to talk about something I have never spoken about here ever before. And I want you to join in. I want you to chime in, especially if you are that immigrant. You are that person. Hey, Elsa, how are you? Especially if you are that person who's wanting to make a decision and is just paralyzed by fear this morning, this live is for you. I have to start by first acknowledging my own fear and what I didn't do this morning. It is Thursday, and usually my podcast would be going out. But here's what happened this morning. I didn't send it out. I listened to the podcast. It was a very long one talking about letting go of fear. And I decided that I'm going to do a do over. The reason is I didn't like how it came out, I didn't like how it sounded. And I was like, I am going to do it exactly how I want it to sound on the live and then go back and record and send it out tomorrow. So expect Basement Chronicles, the podcast, tomorrow. It's coming out tomorrow and it will be exactly how I want it to be this time. Okay, so that's the first thing. It wasn't fear. I think it was strategy, and it really was doing what I know is needed. I want to talk this morning about fear and about the time that I was afraid and what I did about it. Yes, exactly. Send out my best work. I like that, Elsa. So, what are you afraid of this morning? Is there anything that's keeping you paralyzed? Is there anything that you are afraid of? Is there any situation or the future? Are you afraid of the unknown? Are you afraid of failure? Are you afraid of what people are going to say? Are you afraid of stressing out your family members with a new decision or your loved ones? Are you afraid of leaving what you know for what you don't know? Can everybody hear me? Yes, fear of achievement that you'll be alone. That's what else is saying on Instagram. So, good morning, wherever you're listening to me. I hope you're doing well. Let's get into it. Let's deal with this big giant and monster of fear and look it in the face this morning. And I'm hoping as I speak that you can hear myself in your own journey and take away some of what I'm going to be talking about today. I want to start by telling you about the last time that I was really afraid and how I overcame that fear. You guys, I've been coming on here for the better part since 2020. Okay. I started Basement Chronicles, the vlog. You guys remember when I was under my step? Go back and look at the videos. They're still on YouTube. And I started that in COVID as a way to kind of get back into the market of, being inspirational, speaking again, trainings. I didn't even know about coaching at that point. There was another reason that I was doing all of those things. And it was because during COVID, I realized I had the opportunity to do something new with myself, to enter into the career and the calling that I knew I was meant for, as opposed to just simply doing what was before me. I want to speak especially to the professionals and to the immigrants as well. Professional immigrants, people who find themselves in new lands, or even if you're in your country and you're listening to me this morning and you know that you are meant for more, this live is for you. I felt it. I've always felt that I was meant for more. Moving to a new country. But of course, you do the immigrant thing. You find a job, you need to settle down, and there's nothing wrong with that. Where I draw the line is when calling comes calling. And when you have the opportunity to do better, that you should not be afraid to do it. So last year, August of 2023, I changed careers. And some of you are hearing this for the first time. My inner circle knows, my obviously my family and the people who kind of can help the situation. Last year I changed careers. And I noticed I said I changed careers. I moved from working in an office job to going after my calling as a speaker, a writer, and a coach. And I say that because the way that I say it shows a reframing of sorts. I didn't say that I left my job. I said that I changed careers. And that in itself was one of the biggest shifts in my mind to be able to conquer the fear of leaving what was known for what was unknown. Hey, how you doing? Oh my goodness. My people are joining. Instagram is alive this morning. And I did it with after months of like doing the coaching, getting help, doing the work, preparing, having faith. These are all the things that we're going to talk about in some kind of measured fashion today. How was I able to conquer that fear? I had every reason to be afraid, especially when you are an immigrant and you don't have like a huge support circle like you do back home. Moving from one thing to the next, moving from the known to the unknown, it can be scary. Do you agree? It really can. And I experienced that, all of it, and how did I get over it? I'm just making sure that my audio is working well. I hope everybody can hear me. Yes, it is reframing your story. And that came later. That came after I had accepted a couple things, right? Okay, everybody can hear me and Facebook can hear me, okay? Let me know if you can hear me on Facebook because that is important. Thank you. All right, if you can hear me, just let me know. Okay, it seems like you can. That's great, okay? And I had every reason to be afraid because I had failed at business before. So I moved from this office job, which was good while it lasted, but it really wasn't me. I am not meant to be in an office. I am not meant to be. Does anybody out there feel that way? That you have all of these talents and skills, and you are in a job that, yes, it pays the bills, but it does nothing to move the needle on your calling, on what you were meant to be in terms of exercising your extreme potential. Is anybody out there like that? This is for you. Stay here this morning. You're going to hear yourself in my story, and you're going to perhaps find a way to kind of move forward. I felt that way. I felt like, oh my goodness, I am just simply going through the paces. On top of that, as being an immigrant, being black, being a woman, being an immigrant with a strange accent, being the only black person sometimes in the room, it can be very uncomfortable. Let me know if you know what I mean. It can be very uncomfortable. At some point, it got painful to have emails sent your way and not even address you, to have to send back emails to supervisors to be like, okay, were you really talking to me? If you were, can you just let me know exactly what you mean? Because like you were just not acknowledged. It got tired after a while being the person, oh my goodness, Samantha, you do. It got tired after a while, like not being addressed, being spoken to like you weren't in the room. And I'm like, listen, you didn't come from this, Lisa. Do you remember the potential, the things that you did back home? Why is it not possible to be able to do those things here in this new land? Samantha is saying on Facebook that she hears herself in my stories. After a while, it got uncomfortable, but there was still the fear. And so, you guys, during COVID, it was already getting iffy, and COVID came. And I found the perfect opportunity to start to work and to build under what I didn't want to build what I wanted until it got to the point where I could overcome the fear because I had proof of concept. But let's talk about the COVID years, right? When I realized that I simply had to move from my office, from my bed, if I wanted to the basement to do the 9 to 5 job. When I realized that even though, COVID was such a tragic situation, and my heart hurts for all the people we lost, I took it as a person with a brain and talent and ability to create. I took it as an opportunity of a lifetime. And that is what I teach my clients today. There's no COVID right now, but you still are in a situation where you might be working a 9 to 5 and you want to do your own thing. It's a process. You don't just burn down the ship. You don't just leave what you know for what you don't know. There is a process. And COVID allowed me to take myself through that process of building deeply, building a foundation, testing things, because I had a bit more time to think it out and to put things in place. So I began certifications, speaking courses, began going out there, began to see myself doing certain things and going out and trying them because it was under cover of I am heading for something new. I don't know how much time I have. I've got to build right now. So you might have realized during COVID, Lisa was out there, Basement Chronicles, the vlog. Then I started the Speak with Confidence course. And all of that, obviously, is because I realized a formula for your calling. Are you ready for it? If you're out there today, especially the late 40s like I am, a lot of us are thinking of legacy right now. What am I going to leave on this world? How am I going to make it? How am I going to live the rest of my life not taking people's nonsense, but doing the thing that I was called to do? The answer might be calling. Your calling, from what I have discovered, is this is the formula: your gifts and your talents plus your big why is equal to your calling. Your gifts and talents and skills plus the big why, the reason that you think you exist and the thing that you want to do in the world, that is your calling. If you find your calling, you will never have to work another day in your life. People say when you find the thing that you want to do, like you never have to work a day in your life. I think it's calling. I think when the thing that you do energizes you to the point where you can keep on going and going and going, and you are making an impact while making an income, that is your calling. And I found mine. And I did it through a couple ways. I'm a person of faith, right? And I believe if God made you, he knows what you were made for. Okay? I am not going to go to a Hyundai dealership to find out how to run a BMW. Excuse me. Do that, right? God made you. He knows that intersection of gifts and talents and all the things that you need. Ask him. And I spent a lot of time. That's what COVID afforded me. The time to pray and the time to really for those people who were vigilant, COVID, in a sense, it was like an opportunity. And I took it that way to find out what I wanted to do, come up with this. And I just simply began to move in that direction. So the first way that I overcame fear was with faith. I do not know how you are able to move from the fear of the unknown to concretely making a step without some measure of faith, without some measure that it's going to work out to your good. That's the first thing that was in my corner. Having a strong faith and being in constant relationship with God to be able to get instructions, know what the next step was. Okay. And stay with me. This is going to be a nice long one. You're going to take away what you need. Please share this live right now. Like it wherever you are. Get somebody who needs to hear this in the room. Let's talk, okay? I have a couple of comments there. So Samantha says, okay, that's the same comment right here. Samantha says, let me show it. She says, I hear myself in all your stories. So it was faith, first of all. And faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. You guys know that? That's in Hebrews 11, okay? Is the substance of things hoped for. So I am that kind of kid before God who keeps on asking. I always say that. You know that the Big Bang Theory, those of us like the Big Bang Theory, I think it's on Netflix and everywhere. And you know how Sheldon's always knocking, 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 irritatingly. I am that kid before God. I will keep on asking and asking and asking and asking because I'm a favorite daughter. If you're a son here today and you believe in God, you're a favorite son. Go and ask your father. And I was like, Lord, I don't think I want to go back into an office that I don't like with people who I don't like and who don't like me anymore than I like them. I don't think I want to go back into doing things that were literally painful for me. I can hardly get through like taking care of all my domestic issues. And I found myself in a job where part of my job was obviously I loved working with the students. The stuff that I didn't like was like ordering catering for exam. No, I'm meant for more. What are you meant for? At which point does it get irritating? At which point do you say enough is enough? And then when it gets to that point, what do you do about it? I was at that point. And I know back in 2020, when all of this was happening, the world was being shutting down, my world was opening up. Not albeit under the surface, just doing all the things. That's what was happening, right? And oh my goodness, you guys, what happened is I think my phone just died on Instagram. So I'm going to go ahead and start it again. I'm so sorry. Instagram, forgive me. I'm going to go back. I'm going to start back again. But let me continue my story. So the first part was faith. The first part was I got that promise from God sometime in 2020 that I was not going back to the office. And that's what faith does. Faith is a certainty of where you are heading. The minute I understood what the path would be, I started working towards it. Went to get all of these certifications. I went to get, I just started working because I understood that to make it happen, I couldn't just sit on my haunches. That is one of the problems that I have with people of faith. We've got the promise, but we don't want to do the work. How is it going to happen when you live in a world that is not just spiritual, it's actually physical, and you have to do the work? You have to show up. You have to do what it takes. But I did it within the back of my mind, knowing the day would come when the world would open up, right? And I would be asked to come back to the office. And so all of this time I spent years, 2020, 2021, 22, 23, giving myself options so that when that day came, I would know what to do. And I truly believed that at that point I would be able to make the right decision. You know what I've discovered? Life is going to life, and life puts pressure when it's time for you to move. Okay, so all of this time I'm working doubly hard. The 9 to 5, I had to be integrous with my job because the kind of job that I was in, if you didn't show up, it showed. I didn't have a choice. So just bear with me. I'm just like going into if you didn't show up, it would show. And I am that person of excellence that I have to give 100%. And so it got very difficult to the point where I find like even my kids were suffering, even my children, like just because I didn't have the time. And so what happened is, let me just go live on Instagram. Bear with me again. Let's just go BCL. We are live. Let's go. And I'll welcome them back and we will continue. Okay. Hi, Instagram. Sorry, I just went, my phone died. That's exactly what happened. So I apologize and let's continue. So I was just talking about faith and getting the promise of I'm not going back to the office and getting to work, doing what was required of me to be able to be in that position. Fast forward, working very hard, 2022, setting up my coaching business. And here's the other thing, believing in who you are, believing in what you want to do. I know so many other coaches, honestly. But what I see is a lack of confidence in this is who I am, a hesitation to say, hey, this is what I do. And this is, but I truly, truly believe, and I've got proof of concept that as speaker, writer, and coach, I am able to make a difference. And I make no bones about it. That is one thing you're going to learn from me. It is confidence. And that comes from a sense of like who I am, who God said I am. It's all of those things. And so I moved forward, fast forward to 2023. And the pressure began to mount to return to the office. So I first went from like 5 days at home to, I think, 2 days in the office and 3 days at home, which was also comfortable and allowed me to be the kind of parent I wanted to be, pick up my children, be with them. Sorry, you guys on Instagram, it kind of went off. My phone died for a little while. And then the pressure came in 2023, and I had to make a decision. The pressure came when, number one, I was asked to return to the office full time. I have no bones with that. If you enter a job, that's what it takes. This is their job. This is their job. They have the right to make the rules. And as an employer myself, I totally get it. People have the right in a job to tell you what to do if that's what you want. The second thing that happened is more than prayer until it requires you to accept a force or energy. Oh my gosh, yes, Michelle, work, right? The second thing that happened is the kind of pressure that every introvert needs to move. I was in an office all by myself and I loved it where I worked at my place of employ before. All of a sudden, I was going to be moved to an office that would put me next to the elevator. Do you know what that does for an introvert? Next to the elevator. Every clueless student who comes in, every clueless person, the first point of contact would be Lisa's office. At that point, it was no longer a matter of, okay, everything was pointing to it is time to move. I had put in the work. I'm moving in faith. Okay. I have proof of concept. There were, as a coach, as a speaker, and then lately having the space to write and produce, I saw that I had a viable job, one that I enjoyed, one where I had the skills, one where I had results with my clients. I was helping them to win. And that's still the case today. Like, my why is I want you to win because I have a righteous anger when people are not winning. Like, why should you not win? And if I'm loud or whatever, you hear my energy this morning. This is it. Why should you not win in life? We have things within, which are our weaknesses and the things that we don't know where we need to get better. And we have things without, like racist bosses and jealous people and just insecure folks and things that just come together to make us not win. And for me, it's like when I get a client, it's like, why should you not win in life? What do we need to do for you to win? Of course, people need to want it more than need to want it as much, right? But that's always the case by the time you get to a coach, is because you fired up and you want to win. Like, let's go. And so that is my why, to want people to win. And so I've chosen to express it in the speaking and the writing and the coaching because, yes, you're going to win. Like, why should you not win? And if I feel that way for other people, you can well imagine that kind of heat and energy for my own self. Why should I not win? And this was not winning. This putting me in an office next to the elevator with no windows? Me? No. And so, very quietly, without saying anything to no one else but my family, I submitted my resignation. And it was the most freeing thing in the world. You know why? And this is where we move from faith and we move into what happened when you kind of coach yourself and get coaching to start a new thing, to start a new process. I was ready because for the last 2 years, I had been living as if I was not going back to the office. Does that make any sense? To the point where in 2022, just because like part of my daringness to do this entailed sticking very close to God. Like, don't even think about doing it in the world. Don't even think about doing it. And so I got that instruction from God to kind of write the book as if I had already left the office. In 2022, I finished the book. You guys heard me come on here and talk about the book, but I never did say like what exactly the book was. The book is called I'm Not Going Back to the Office and it's coming out in September of this year. It's written. It's just being revised right now. It's written. I've got the cover. I have a book called I'm Not Going Back to the Office that is based on the experience of moving from being in an office and recognizing this is not for me. I felt at some point that I was cheating. Okay? I felt at some point like it was like my mind, I'm supposed to be here, but I want to be somewhere else. I'm supposed to be in this office, these wooden emails, not being able to express my personality, not being able to be creative. Yes, when I dealt with the students, it was about winning. It was, yes, let's go, right? But for the most part, I don't have to go through this. I don't have to go through your racism and through your trying to figure out who I am and treating me as an equal. No. The thing that I know about life right now is if you see you cannot sit at the table, build your own table. But that process of building your own table is very strategic. And that is where we stop ourselves sometimes. I know so many people of color, immigrants, even people who've been here from like 3 years old and thought everything was okay. And then their lives just get turned upside down, and they realize they don't think of me as equal. They don't think of me as one of them. I know so many people since COVID who have had to go back to a workplace that was worse than when they left. And the common thinking that I'm hearing in the whole EDI world is that we lost a bit of the tolerance for people. We lost a bit of all the gains that we had made because people went back into the silos of mean, racist thinking and then came back into the workplace with it. So many people have opted not to go back to the office. I am one of them. But don't get me twisted. It wasn't that bad to say, like, I was, oh my gosh. Like, I think it was more, for me, it was more that it was time to move on. No. Let's do what you were meant to do. You've got a formula, you've got the tools, you're in a better position, you have proof of concept that it's working. Let's go. And I did it. I didn't say anything to anybody because here's the wisdom of that, you guys. And for anybody who's looking to make any serious decision, sometimes it makes sense to be very quiet about it. You know why? Even though I knew it was the right decision, you have to build something in the dark first. You have to plant those seeds deep so that by the time people come on board with their discomfort, ridicule, wondering, questioning, doubt, bad wishes, that seed is already strong in God, with proof of concept, with habits built that will sustain you no matter who says what, right? And that's what I did. So now I can afford to, because I feel like God gave me a gift and I've just been hiding it. You see me, I'm sure some people have been wondering, like, if she still has a day job, how is she able to produce all of these things? And the answer is there is no way that I could have done it. Since I left and have had the space as a creative, albeit an immigrant, because not every immigrant is meant to be in an office. Not every immigrant comes as somebody who's supposed to be under somebody. Oh, hell no. Oh, heaven no. We are not a monolith. We come with all of our achievements and experiences, and they have to be filtered, yes, through the new country. And you have to learn how to do things a certain way. But at which point do you win? At which point is it all out? This is my table. I am CEO. This is my business. This is what I can offer. You come into my doors. At which point? And I know the right people hear me this morning. I know the right people hear me, the creatives, the producers, the ones who want more for themselves and are now looking for legacy and don't have a strategy to do it. That's what I teach, strategy, right? There's a way to do it. There's a strategy to do it. And so that building in the dark, it afforded me the time and space and quiet to make mistakes, to learn and to grow without the pressure of people's, just everything. So it was on a need to know basis. And here's the thing that happened. Just how you know that you've kind of done the right thing. The minute that I created that room for more capacity in my life, my clients rushed into my daytime hours, because before it was like coach at 3 o'clock in the morning, coach at 5 in the evening, coach at 9, whatever time before and after those day job hours that I was not able to do it, that's when I would. The minute I did that, I had more capacity. I'll never forget, like, I think like a week or so after, in true business. So Violet says, oh my goodness, Violet says, in true, let me take this comment. In true Lucian style, keep your business to yourself and your mouth shut when you're planning your strategic moves. And there's wisdom in that. There's wisdom in that. Like, I'm an entrepreneur. I will always be about, like, how can I make an impact while making income? So yes, now I'm ready. The book is ready. Now I can tell the story because I see where it's heading. I want to be able to go out and talk to people about your calling, Your calling is look at your gifts and look at your talents and what do you want to do with the world? Those two things. You are not just a singer. To what end can you put the singing to create for yourself a calling that will sustain you and make you money? Not every calling is a vocation. Not every calling is voluntary. A lot of what you want to do in life, if you can tie it to your talents and your gifts, you will be able to do it and make a living from it. Now, I was saying about one of my clients, just because I now had more room, more capacity as a coach, I'll never forget being available for her during the day that day when she was about to go off to a major interview. And I didn't say anything. I didn't say why I was available. Nothing of the sort. I was just there. And my point is that, yes, there's faith and there is stepping out. And when you do that, it really does work. Like when you take the first step, it illuminates what the next step is going to be, but you're never going to know it if you don't step out. And I'm not saying burn down the ship, okay? I'm not saying burn down the ship and whatever happens, happens. No, strategize. You have a brain. Don't mind what people think about you or the stereotypes of being an immigrant. Oh my goodness, no. Build your own table. And like even being here and like I'm part of the think group, the number of people who have their own businesses, the number of people who are doing their own thing and proving that even as an immigrant, yes, you learn the ways, you learn the culture, you contribute, and then on top of that you add who you are to create something new and something that other immigrants, other people can look up to and be like, yeah, this is possible. I don't have to take this. I felt that way. So that is my way of overcoming fear. It was faith and it was strategy and it was hard work. It still is. But guess what? It is work that I enjoy. I could never, ever, ever say that about sending out those wooden professional emails. Me? No. No. Didn't like it. At some point, it gets uncomfortable in the skin that you're in, and you've got to discard that one because it's not working. But you need a strategy to be able to do that. But when you do find it, like go forward with both feet. Don't be looking back. And the last thing before I get out of here is the other thing that the quiet allowed me to do is to make a decision and make it right. Once you've made that decision, made the decision, gave it in. Once resignation was in, it was off to the races. There is something that happens when you do not give yourself the option to go back. All of a sudden, that beautiful brain that God gave you, it kicks into action, doesn't it? Under pressure, people reveal who they really are, and COVID did that. Yes, Violet, that's very true. I got this comment from Violet there. I need to put it up on the screen. Very good. When you see you make a decision and you are determined to make it right, your brain gets into action to come up with strategies, to come up with creative ways of serving your clients and creating value in the world that people want. And it comes from do or die. No, I'm like, no, I have to make it as a coach because I'm not going back to the office. It is not an option. I hate it. And I'm not doing it anymore. I'm meant for more. And I'm sure there are people out there, please reach out to me after. Don't leave me here by myself. If you feel this, let me know this morning that you know you're meant for more. You mightn't know what it is, but you know what you have is not what you want. You're my kind of people. Let's get to work. Because that's exactly where I was. And like what I realized, okay, so I had COVID as cover. A lot of people right now are back in the workplace and are wondering, okay, Lisa, you had COVID, you were at home to kind of make this work. How do I now do it? There's a process. You're not going to leave one time. You decide on what your calling is. Okay. Once you decide on that, even as you work the 9 to 5 and use the 9 to 5 to fuel and to fund your calling, Even while you're working the 9 to 5, you begin to take steps. So you have to make some sacrifices of the weekends, of after school and before, after work and before work. You'll have to make some sacrifices in terms of what you are able to do right now. It's time to ditch. If you are heading towards calling, we do a couple things. You start to focus on the future, which is what I did. It was just simply family, it was God, family, work. It was then coaching every single second I had. Double up, learn about it, do the work, do the practice clients, learn about this, because it's not just about having the coaching business. You want to be the kind of coach who gets repeat clients, and that's what it's that's exactly how I've done it. So it's hard work, it's faith, it's hard work, it's strategy, it's keeping your mouth shut and heading towards something. And it's lastly, when you see you make that decision, make a decision and make it right. Whatever making it right means, after I've made that decision and burned down that ship, after all, when I've made the decision and I'm like, okay, now it's just me in this. What am I going to do? How am I going to make this work? Because I've got the certainty that it's going to work. It has to work because I'm not going back to the office. Does that make sense? If that's your story, reach out to me because that sure is mine. So make a decision and make it right. That's it. Not going back. So this has to work. We have to find a way. Learn all the things, take all the courses, do the mastermind, spend the money, get the coaching. But this is going to be right. I'm going to make it right. That depends on you and your effort and your drive to succeed. And the fact that it doesn't even matter who laughs. It doesn't even matter who says what. I'm not even listening right now because my eyes are on that future, on what I know I'm going to do and nothing else. So yeah, that is how I overcame my last fear. And it was a big one. And I knew that I couldn't bring out that book. It was written in October 2022, before I had left the office. And in retrospect, I think what God was showing me and teaching me was the whole um, idea of faith being the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. I literally now have had to go back and tweak it because now I'm living out not going back to the office. So a couple things I put in for like after having done it, but everything that I wrote happened exactly how I said it. I'm like, God, you are amazing to be able to use the thing that means the most to me, which is writing and words, to be able to take me. And He does that for every single person if you will let Him in your life. You don't have to be afraid. Last thing I want to say, last thing is that verse in, is it Second Timothy? God has not given you a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. I see that as a three-pronged strategy. Power to do it, love on how you kind of couch it and the way that you approach it, and then a sound mind to make the wise decisions, one of which for me was to keep quiet about it, to do the things, to act from the beginning like I was already there, and to see that played out. It's an amazing journey. And I hope you go through it. I hope you find your calling. I hope you find the gifts and the talents that you can tie to the reason you think you exist. And I have this whole, I'll probably do it again on the live or maybe do a session with it. I have this whole like session or class that I do where we go through what moves you, what angers you, what makes you, just find a thing to do. Many times in the Speak with Confidence program, by the way, that's coming up. You can check my website, Lisa. I didn't even put that up. Oh my goodness. Like, what kind of, let me just put this up, you guys. Like, please sign up for the wait list right here. Okay, this is it. The Speak with Confidence program. Many times, some people discover their calling in the Speak with Confidence program. It's not speaking. And I've started to approach speaking from the point of view of find your fire first, right? If you are able to find the reason you want to speak, we can put things on top of that. We can put the art of it and the science of it. But for the first time, I've been a speaker for a long time, I've spoken about different things. I'm always about confidence. I always speak to schools about, like being yourself, being who you are, loving yourself. But I feel like for the first time talking about calling, I have found my fire. This is it. This is the thing that you want to talk about with the skill of speaking. It creates for a fire, it creates for something new. And so a lot of people in the process of learning the art and science of speaking, which is what I teach in the Speak with Confidence program, a lot of people just simply catch fire. Catch fire means I find my thing. Yes, this is what I want to do. I want to be a speaker. I want to be a writer. I want to be a coach. I want to go out and talk to people about parenting, about marketing, about relationships. We've had that, about just the artist's journey. All sorts of wonderful things happen when you get into that arena of learning the art and science of speaking. And so, if you want to join the program, go sign up for the wait list. You can sign up for the program already. People just went straight to the link and signed up. It's there, lisamdublin.com/SWC. If you go there, you can either sign up for the waitlist or just sign up for the program, or just DM me. You and I can have a conversation about the program. I'm only offering one program this year, and that is in May 2nd to the 30th. It's a rigorous program, so if you don't think you'll have the time, don't come. But if you want to learn the art and science of speaking, and I especially want to speak to the immigrants, like, stand up and speak. You have a voice. And if you are able to leverage it wherever you are, your credibility goes up. You add to the narrative of the capable and professional immigrant. And then it has been proven that when you have diverse communities, problems get solved better, faster, and in a more effective fashion. So you want to be part of every conversation, whether you are in an office or not. Some people are there, and that's okay. It's just for me, I was like, I'm not going back to the office. I'm just not. No, no. Okay. Thank you so much for rocking with me this morning. My name is Lisa Dublin. I am an SWC, a speaker, a writer, and a coach. And I own every single part of it. And I hope you do too, whatever your calling is. I pray, God, that you find it, that you leverage it, that you rock it for the rest of your life. Okay, folks, thank you. I'll see you tomorrow. We'll have another topic and hopefully a podcast or not. Let's see what my podcast editor says, because like this was a 30-minute edit, okay? And then I didn't send it out today. So maybe we might just do next week. In the meantime, go listen to the other episodes of the podcast. They are on my website, or you can go to Apple Podcasts and look for Basement Chronicles, the podcast. The last one that I did is Trust Issues. That was episode 16. It's still gaining a lot of airplay, so you can go listen. And where you can find it, it's on the screen. That is the Apple logo, the Spotify, and it's also on YouTube on the Basement Chronicles website. So thank you so much, everybody, for being here this morning. And yeah, just walk in your calling. The world is going to be better for it.